Hey, Sarah. How you
At
doing?
17, Sarah is a few weeks away from becoming a mom.
Any questions?
This is one of her last visits to the doctor before the big day. And all signs point to a healthy, strong baby.
And that also
Dr. Dan Riley has been monitoring her progress and preparing her for what's to come. While she has some fear about labor pains, she won't have to worry about whether she'll survive childbirth,
I got lots of stuff.
nor will most women who give birth in Canada.
The leading cause of death in pregnant women in Canada is actually motor vehicle accidents. Death related to being pregnant is extremely rare, which is very good.
In the developing world, it's everyday news. Catherine Waswigwa is features editor of the largest daily in Uganda. With roughly the same population as Canada, more than 6,000 women die from pregnancy complications every year.
At first I thought it was death like any other death. You can't prevent it if it's to happen. But now I realize that this doesn't happen everywhere in the world. It's strange. It's unique to our poor resource countries.
Worldwide, 40% of all pregnancies will have a complication. 15% are life-threatening. Geography is the biggest factor for survival. Most women in the developing world will have their babies without access to proper medical care or a skilled attendant. Even the ones who do make it to the hospital often come too late.
Because she first tried to push from the village, then after failing, she went to a health center nearby, which didn't have services for cesarean section, and then by the time she was referred here, it was too late, but the life is saved. At least this is good.
Member of Parliament Sylvia Sinabulia successfully launched a bill in Ugandan Parliament to make safe motherhood a priority. And the UN vowed to improve the fate of the world's mothers by 2015 in its Millennium Development Goals, one that is still far from reality.
Roughly every minute, a woman somewhere in the world dies. Because of something that was entirely avoidable, because of something that was related to pregnancy or childbirth. And everyone agrees that is a tragedy and that shouldn't be happening.
Motherhood is a universal experience, but giving birth isn't. As this examination room shows, there's a world of difference for pregnant women in developed and developing nations. And that's why maternal health is the focus of this year's G8 summit. But how to save the world's mothers is igniting debate. Dr. Riley isn't surprised. Along with his practice, he teaches medical students at McMaster University how to navigate the ethical minefields of maternal health. And there are many.
I think it's because maternal health touches on sexuality, and everybody realizes that it's a big problem that needs to be addressed, and there's nothing more tragic than a pregnant woman dying because she's pregnant. And so there's an urgency to do something, but then the something that we do gets mixed into the debates we have around other issues related to sexuality and women's health and what's optimal. And so that all tends to get mixed together.
The controversy rests on one aspect: family planning. It's a term that means different things to different people.
Certainly,
according to Andrea Mrozik of the Institute of Marriage and Family Canada, that's the problem.
Abortion is a political hot potato under the best of circumstances, and certainly enough medical professionals have stood up and said that abortion is not part of family planning. So it seems to me that the term is fairly clear, except for some extremists who demand that the politics be layered on top of women's health.
The ideological debate spilled over in Parliament when the Liberal Party introduced a motion demanding Ottawa promote the full range of family planning, sexual and reproductive health options in its maternal health strategy. Words that many, including members of the Liberal Party, took to include abortion.
I believe everybody thought they would win this motion. The opposition parties should have been able to win the motion easily, in fact, and it did not pass, and that's because there were enough Liberals who stayed home and didn't vote, and indeed some Liberals who voted with the Conservatives, understanding that when you push abortion and funding for abortion, in particular in the developing world, it's very controversial.
And if there's anything Canadians don't agree on or like to talk about, it's abortion. That hasn't deterred Mrozek from starting the conversation on her blog, Pro-Woman, Pro-Life. She says if we have no consensus on abortion in Canada, we shouldn't be promoting it elsewhere. So is there common ground on preventing maternal mortality?
The common ground lies in excluding abortion as part of the maternal health mandate. That creates common ground because what everybody can agree on is that there are some horrifying situations in which women give birth in the developing world. They don't have access to sanitary clinics. There may not be a clinic within hours of where they live. They face discrimination in other areas. So excluding abortion provides the common ground.
Dr. Riley is used to practicing medicine in a moral minefield, but says the issue is far too important to ignore.
Most of what needs to go there is people and knowledge and resources. And the abortion part of it is such a small little part of it. Even those that believe abortion should be the services offered, it's a tiny fraction of the total package that needs to get there. And again, that debate around that little bit shouldn't delay the rest of it.
In Uganda, the issue of maternal health isn't so much controversial as it is crucial. Knowledge is a big part of the fight here in a society where a woman's value is often determined by how many children she has, according to Catherine Waswigwa.
I think if women were valued, many of these things would change. Then a husband would be able to listen to his wife if she said, look, I don't think I can have another baby, or that kind of thing. And many women think they will be valued because maybe of the number of children they've had and how those children turn out.
Still, the news is getting out. Maternal health matters. Dr. Dan Riley says it has to matter to us too.
So you're going to start having contractions.
Even though we live in a world far removed from the tragedy of mothers dying.
My hope is that we begin to place more value on these women's lives. The reason that this is happening is because people in their own country and in the West have decided other things are more important than their lives, and we've got our priorities messed up.
That's why he hopes we can get beyond politics and to the heart of the issue before it's too late. In Fergus, Ontario, Denise Lottie, 100 Huntley Street.